Who am I, poozers? Don't you know? I'm Kilowog, trainer and drill sergeant for the best bunch of superheroes in the whole galaxy, the Green Lantern Corps. I trained every Earthlander, starting with Hal Jordan. It seems like I've always been part of the Corps in this universe, but universes change. The multiverse sometimes goes through events that rewrite reality, wholly or partly. But the first one that started them all was the Crisis on Infinite Earths. The story you might know starts right after that first crisis. This is the story of what came before. In the original universe, I weren't no drill sergeant nor a veteran of the Corps. I was one of its newest members. My planet, Bolovax Vic, was a peaceful utopia, filled with happy Bolovaxians who were almost identical in body but varied in mind. And yeah, we all talk just like I talk. You want to make something of it? We was a true communist society, helped by a unique feature of our biology. We Bolovaxians could join minds with each other, forming a communal hive mind. When we had disagreements, we could let each other experience with perfect clarity our different points of view, and come to compromise with a unified mind. When decisions that affected our entire planet sprang up, we merged our minds into something we called the mass, and decided communally. Bolovaxians had tremendous empathy because we literally knew what it was like to live as others lived. And no Bolovaxian suffered want or oppression. That was really great. Because of our civilization's advancement, we provided Green Lanterns for our sector, Sector 674. It was a noble duty, but it was also a sacrifice. Away from our planet, a Green Lantern would never feel the community or support of the mass. Branwilla was a Green Lantern for a long time, and she was great at it. Meanwhile, I was a genetics scientist, one of the best in the universe. Our anatomy is simple compared to most species, but that didn't mean there wasn't plenty to explore. I had someone I loved, and a family. But that didn't mean nothing when Branwilla perished in the line of duty, and the mass decided that since I was such a good scientist and engineer, I would be the best choice to replace her. I resisted, but I couldn't deny the reasoning of the mass. I was the right choice, and it was as simple as that. I hated leaving Bolovax Vic behind, but I knew I could visit whenever I was in my home sector, and the Guardians seemed to fill the purpose of the mass for me. Now, instead of relying on a democratic hive mind, I'd rely on the judgment of little blue immortals who'd forgotten lots more than I'd ever know. It weren't the same, but I could live with it. Unfortunately, I was wrong about the Guardians' judgment. They made mistakes, and oh boy, they made some doozies. One of the worst was Krona, the renegade Guardian who 4 billion years ago had split the original universe into infinite universes through his hubris. One of those universes, the antimatter universe, gave birth to the Anti-Monitor, who sought to destroy all universes but his own. The first great evil of the Guardians caused the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Worlds died in the crisis, and one of those worlds was Bolovax Vic, annihilated by the encroaching antimatter universe. I was there when antimatter destroyed my world, and I would have bought it if not for my ring. All told, 912 Green Lanterns, over a quarter of our number, and 14 of the 36 existing Guardians were lost in the crisis. To make matters worse, the Guardians' hubris and lack of good judgment put the multiverse in danger a second time. The majority of Guardians felt the end of the universe was a just punishment for their failure with Krona and were willing to sacrifice every living being for that punishment. A minority wanted to destroy the birthplace of the Anti-Monitor, a desperate gambit to make sure it was never created, and thus the crisis never happened. Both factions were wrong. The Anti-Monitor was tied to his birthplace. Destroying it would have set him free and made him even more powerful. The one good thing to come out of the decision to attack the antimatter universe is that it inspired the Guardians to heal Guy Gardner, who'd been in a coma. However, they didn't cure the brain damage that had put Guy in the coma, resulting in a violent personality that they sought to aim at the antimatter universe like a weapon. John Stewart led the Green Lantern Corps to stop Guy. They were successful, but it took a long time before Guy learned to trust the Lanterns again. The crisis was finally over, but the inescapable truth was that the Guardians had nearly destroyed the universe they had sworn to protect twice. Realizing their nature as immortal beings without emotion or empathy had almost destroyed everything, the Guardians abdicated their leadership of the Green Lantern Corps. They would leave with the Zamarans, who had evolved from the women of the Guardians' original home race of Malthusians, and seek to rediscover their purpose. In their wake, they left a weakened Green Lantern Corps leaderless. I had lost my homeworld and the Guardians who had my devotion. I needed to start over again and learn who I was as an individual. When Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Kat Matui, and Arizia Rab announced that they would form a new base of operations on Earth, I decided to join them, along with Chip and Salak. Everything I would become began at that moment. But that's a story for another time.